Brought to you guys as always by Chinook Cedar. Use the code TheSkippersView for 10% discount over there. They're great seats. And also, too, go check out Stat Soldier. They got some cool, if you want to make like cool top 10 graphics or make your own analytics, whatever you want to do. It's a pretty cool site. Go check it out. Dean's the one that made it over there. And obviously, we got a lot of baseball. But before that, we were talking a little before about fantasy football and how I'm in the championship right now. You're in the playoffs right now. Big weeks coming up for both of us. We got that mixed with the college football playoff coming up. So a big week right now in football, and then with free agency stuff heating up a ton too.
Yeah, no, super excited. A lot of sports going on this week. Holiday break. I'm fine. We're recording early today because work's light, and I'm taking off for the rest of the year through January 5th. As you can see from the bags under these eyes, it's 3:15 p.m. Eastern on a Friday, and I am worn out. I'm getting dragged to some sort of Polish food festival, which should be pretty awesome. Like, it's gonna be good food. It's the last thing I want to do on a Friday. But that being said, dude, we had a blockbuster go on between Baltimore and Tampa Bay. Do you want to start talking about Shane Boz here, and I'll jump in? I'm just pulling up the prospects.
Yeah, I mean, we saw earlier today that Baltimore had a big trade. It kind of came out of nowhere, too. It was just it came out that Baltimore was talking. I believe Ken Rosenthal said they were in talks with the Rays of acquiring Shane Boz. And then about 10 minutes later, it said the deal was done. So it was pretty crazy how quick it went. But it was Shane Boz to the Orioles for outfielder Slater DeBrun, catcher Caden Bodine, right-handed pitcher Michael Forrest, outfielder Austin Overn, and a competitive balance A-round pick that comes with about $2.5 million in slot value there, which is a huge thing. We've seen those traded recently now, and MLB teams really value those when they trade those away now. But I thought this was a very high price. Obviously, Boz can be that frontline guy the Orioles are looking for. I think they're probably still going to look to sign another arm, but this is that frontline arm they were looking for, and we were saying you have to go get. But they gave a lot. I mean, DeBrun and Bodine are both 2 first-round picks this year, and they pretty much gave up another first-round pick. So 3 first-round picks plus more for Shane Boz. It's a hefty price, but 3 years of control can be a frontline rotation arm. Like, it's a win-now move with a team that usually went on Alonso.
Yeah, and I really like Shane Boz. He's out of Minnesota, I believe. Coming up, he was talked about just having an electric arm, and Baltimore needs this, and they obviously just got rid of a guy in Grayson Rodriguez who had 4 years control. Now they're getting a starter with 3 years control. Seems like obviously they both dealt with injuries, but I like, personally speaking, I just feel more confident in Shane Boz to progress here. Going forward, I feel like he has not spent as much time as Grayson Rodriguez on the shelf, and it seems like Grayson Rodriguez is just dealing with lingering stuff all the time, and we know how that goes. As for the prospects, though, you got to look at this Tampa Bay, that who they get in this deal. Slater DeBrun, he's now slated as their 6th ranked prospect in the system. He's in rookie ball. He's not supposed to be up till 2029, but he's 18 years old. Then they also acquired Caden Bodine. He's their 11th ranked prospect now in the system. He'll be up in 2028. He's 22 years old. And then I'm trying to look, who are the other 2 guys in this deal that you mentioned?
Michael Forrest and Austin Overn.
Okay, I don't think either of them are in their top. Austin Overn's number 20 in their system now. So Tampa Bay just got 3 top 20 guys in their prospect system for a guy that, quite honestly, I still think they could win without, even though Shane Boz, I think, is a talented guy. Tampa Bay just produces arms. They're going to find someone to plug and play, and they'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, you know that Tampa Bay is going to find somebody to fill that spot. It's like we see it before. I mean, when they traded, obviously, Tyler Glass, now you're kind of like, what are you doing? You're trading a top guy like that. But then, like, they always have spots to fill in. And what I like right now, too, is like, so obviously still have Rasmussen and Pepio, and McClanahan's should be healthy next year. But it does open a slot if he can get his control close. And I was looking at his numbers the other day. It looks like it was still the same as always. Joe Boyle now has a spot in this rotation right now. On roster resource, he's slow. And then it's the 5th in this rotation right now. I would love to see Joe Boyle, even if they do the piggyback thing they did last year with him. Because this guy, all his AAA numbers, too, were phenomenal. Besides the walks and walking about 5 guys for 9 innings, everything else is incredible from Joe Boyle. Has some of the best stuff on planet Earth right now.
Yeah, and like Brody Hopkins, he's supposed to be up in 2026. He's their 3rd ranked prospect. He's a right-hander in AA, 23 years old, 6'4", 220. Big boy. Michael Forret, he's in AA. He's 21. He's also supposed to be up next year. He's their fifth overall prospect. So they got two of their top five guys, like kind of ready to go to make the MLB jump. On top of, we didn't talk about Mason Montgomery. Interesting year last year. A lot of intrigue. I don't know if he gets some starts. You mentioned Pepio, Rasmussen. We didn't talk about Ian Seymour as well. They have McClanahan just agreed to his arbitration, so they avoid arbitration with him. They got Steven Matz. You brought up Boyle. This is going to be an interesting. It's not going to be the prettiest rotation, but it's definitely interesting how they're going to play it and who gets starts in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting going forward. I think it's just the thing is it's gonna be interesting, but it's gonna be fun. I mean, just because they're gonna have guys like a Boyle, where it's gonna be he could be the most dominant seven innings you've seen, or the worst inning you've seen in your life. Can't find the broadside of a barn. Like it's gonna be that's just how Joe Boyle is. There's gonna be a lot of guys like that who are very fun to watch. The guys in the bullpen too that are very fun to watch. They have a lot of good stuff. But my whole thing, just going back real quick on the Boz trade, is my whole thing is you brought it up how you got rid of Grayson Rodriguez and you get Boz pretty much take his spot for the Orioles here. My whole thing was you pretty much just flipped those two, Grayson Rodriguez and a Boz, but gave up your 2 first-round picks last year. You got Taylor Ward back, and then you also gave up a first-round pick next year too. So you gave up a lot just to flip Grayson Rodriguez into Shane Boz, which is what my issue is with it a little bit. But I also too know I haven't seen these medicals, and if Baltimore's going to trade away Grayson Rodriguez with 4 years of team control for just a year of Taylor Ward, like that tells me the medicals have to be very, very bad. And obviously, I don't know them, but it's going to take a while for this to trade happen and see how Grayson Rodriguez looks healthy-wise down the road here. But like if Grayson Rodriguez stays healthy for the next few years, it just seemed like way too much to flip Grayson Rodriguez to get a slight upgrade in the rotation, in my opinion.
Sorry, I had something stuck in my throat. Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. I was so in on Grayson Rodriguez. I was saving his rookie cards and stuff, and now I'm just like, what was I thinking? I'm like, we'll see though. He could prove everyone wrong. He's got 4 years control under LA. Next thing I want to talk about. So let's talk about Atlanta. They made some moves. I think this is a big week for Atlanta. Again, Ha-Seong Kim back, 1 year, $20 million deal that essentially eliminates them out of the Bo Bichette sweepstakes. One would think. I think that by doing this and playing it safe, I think Atlanta is going to go out and load up on the back end of this rotation. I really think Atlanta's going to. They've had a pitching issue. Hagen, as a Mets fan, how worried are you about Atlanta in this lineup right now? And on top of they just added Robert Suarez. They have Iglesias. They're going to go get other guys in the pen. And I think they can afford now a pitcher or two based off not making the big deal to go get Bo Bichette.
Yeah, I'm pretty scared here because last year, the whole time, when the Mets went to shit last year, my biggest issue with it was just that you got the 1 year that the best team in the division was not a good team in the Atlanta Braves, who better than the Phillies, better than the Mets, overall roster-wise. You got the year where they weren't good and everything went wrong, and you just did nothing with it. So that's what sucked. I knew the Braves were going to be back and be a very good team this year. I have them right now as the division favorites. I mean, just look at this rotation. You have Chris Sale, Spencer Swellenbach is going to be healthy again. Spencer Strider's going to be healthy again. Ronaldo Lopez, remember when he was an all-star? He had a sub-2 ERA. Hurston Waldrop right now, they probably could go back and sign a 4 or a 5 in the rotation there. People think a Framber, if his market doesn't really have anything, could you swoop in on a top-end guy too and get one of those guys? The bullpen's pretty solid right now, and this offense is crazy. I mean, you got Acuna, Olson, Profar.
Whoa. We have breaking news. Dude, are you seeing this? Pirates reportedly acquired Brandon Lowe in a 3-team deal with Astros and Rays per multiple reports. Pittsburgh's also getting Jake Magnum, Mason Montgomery. So scratch my Mason Montgomery start comment. Houston's acquiring Mike Burrows, and Tampa Bay would acquire Jacob Melton and Anderson Brito from Houston.
I thought we had this on the rundown. This happened about 2 hours ago.
What?
Yeah.
I'm showing 1 minute from MLB.com on Twitter, and I just refreshed it.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, maybe because it's on my For You instead of following page, but regardless, I didn't see this, so it's still pretty fresh within the last couple hours here. So, apologies for the breaking news alert there, but yeah, dude, Tampa Bay is being aggressive. I love this for Pittsburgh. What do you think about this 3-way deal?
My main thought was that it was Pittsburgh's willing to take on improving the offense overall. Like a guy like Brandon Lau, like he's making I think $11.25 million this year. It's not a huge contract, only has 1 year left on it. So they're saying, hey, let's add some offense. We don't have a long-term commitment here. But I believe they didn't have a single above average hitter last year in terms of WRC plus on the Pirates roster. So like any offense is a huge help for them. So I just like that they're doing something to improve this offense right now. I really like that. I believe they said Tampa Bay pretty much got two prospects who are, I think, borderline top 100 guys, I believe. So they just kind of cashed in there on a Lau that was seemed like was going to get moved this entire offseason. And the Astros, I heard they're the guy they got back. I'm not familiar with him at all. I think they said he could be a high leverage reliever, has some good stuff there, but not familiar with him by any means.
So okay, so sorry for interrupting you on Atlanta, because I somehow my timeline got screwed up there. So, but it's good that we talked about that because it involved Tampa Bay, and that was kind of our kickoff for this episode. Anything more to comment on Atlanta before we jump to the next subject?
I just think you got to look at Atlanta and see them as one of the World Series favorites right now. Like this team, that last year they just had everything go wrong for them. You had guys get hurt in rotation, guys get hurt in the lineup. We saw Ronald Acuna did in whatever the 80 games he played last year, however many he played. Like he was MVP caliber still, coming off another ACL tear. You said Olsen is going to play every single day. This lineup, like Riley had a very down year, dealt with some injuries. Like this team is crazy. Like Hassan Kim, like they didn't need a Bo Bichette, in my opinion, to be a World Series team. They already were a World Series caliber team. But upgrading a Hassan Kim from a Nick Allen, what they had last year, Nick Allen, I mean, Jeb will say all the time, he's a noodle bat. He can't hit. He can play phenomenal defense, but he can't hit. Even if Hassan Kim gives you a 90 WRC plus, that is such a huge upgrade, especially with the defense he's going to give you.
Yeah, yeah. I 100% agree. Atlanta is, I think they're a force to be reckoned with this year. Said it last episode. Strider coming back healthier, like year two from this Tommy John. Schwellenbach dealt with issues all year last year. We think Spencer Schwellenbach has all the talent in the world. Chris Sale's back. You got Hurston Waldrop. You got Iglesias. You got Suarez. You got to find a couple middle relievers to, bolster, and then get another, back end of the rotation starter to mix in as a 5-6 guy. Because I think that I don't know who else they got in there right now off the top of my head, but Atlanta's lineup's gross. They're probably going to add another bench bat of someone if they get a veteran on the cheap. But good luck winning that division this year, Hagen. It's gonna be a gauntlet with Philly. And we're about to talk about Philly. So Philly, we keep hearing, is Harrison Bader? What's he doing? Is he going to Philadelphia? Is he not? Philly says, nah, they go with Adolis Garcia, 1 year, $10 million deal. I did not expect Garcia to go to Philly, and I don't know why not. It makes all the sense in the world. A contender getting a legit bat on a down year, or I should say off a down year. Philly also just got Brad Keller. So he's going there for 2 years, $22 million. Keller last year was on the Cubs as a non-roster invitee, and he finished the season he was closing games in the postseason for Chicago. That's how good he performed. So add Keller into the mix now with Adolis Garcia. You just got Schwarber back. They got to take care of getting Real Muto back. But Philly, Hagen, what do they need at this point besides Real Muto? Like, let's just assume they get him.
I mean, I don't really know if they really need to do anything more, to be honest, in my opinion there. I maybe a 5-starter if you want to put one in there, just because I would say starting pitcher is probably the only thing left. Obviously, Ranger's not coming back there, but I think Real Muto and a starter are the two main things you're looking at. But like a signing like a Brad Keller, I really like that signing. I think that's such a unique signing, too, because there's so many different ways you can use him. Because it was big talk this offseason, him being stretched into a starter. There was a lot of interest there. People thought at first Philly could be stretching him into a starter. And I don't think he's going to be doing that, but he's someone you could use in the bullpen as high leverage. You can use him in the fourth inning. You can use him as a long relief guy. There's so many different ways you can use Brad Keller, which I love this signing. Obviously, great pitcher. I think his velo jumped about 3 miles an hour last year. And everything I've seen shows that it's sustainable as well, too. So I thought that was a great signing for Brad Keller there. And then the Adolis Garcia one. I mean, my initial thought on that was Nick Castellanos is gone. And I've heard from my Philly friends I've had, they've been saying the whole year that Castellanos, he's not going to be on the opening day roster. They don't want him. They've been looking to trade him this entire offseason. They haven't gotten a suitor yet for him. And this confirmed that Castellanos is not going to be on the Phillies anymore. I mean, it's pretty much guaranteeing it. It's just at this point trying to find someone to take some of that money, You don't have to just DFA him and eat $20 million there, because then you basically are paying $30 million for Adolis Garcia if you factor it in that way. So I like the chance though on Philly there. I mean, this lineup's already pretty damn good. Like, you don't need Adolis Garcia to be what he once was and be a four hitter for you. Even if it gives you a 110 WRC plus, even bounces back, it's a great addition for Philly.
Dude, and the other thing about Philly, like, let's just say Zach Wheeler does not come back. They got Sanchez. Hopefully, Painter just works out. They got Lizardo. They got Nola. They got like four horses, is what I'm getting at in the rotation that are, and I'm betting on Painter. I think he's gonna be fine in Philadelphia. That means you have four reliable starters going. Not to mention, dude, like last year, they just traded for Jonathan Bolin from Kansas City. They gave up Matt Strom, who Matt Strom's a good player that Philly gave up. They're shedding payroll on that deal to get Bolin. Bolin last year, 46 Ks in 44 innings with a sub 4 ERA. So he'll be a middle inning reliever. They got Orion Kirkering, who, again, like last year, people thought it was like, I guess, down for him based off his first year, but he had a 65 Ks in 60 innings with a 3.3 ERA in 69 appearances. So he looked really good. You got Seth Johnson as well, who talented guy. Like he was with the Tampa Bay organization for a little bit. I think they moved him to Baltimore, and then maybe he ended up here. But Seth Johnson's just another guy in the middle of the, for the middle reliever guys. I think that could be highly effective. Philly's pretty well rounded right now. Again, they quietly and if they get Real Muto back, it is a huge thing for thing idea of momentum for Philly. I think they're one back end starter, one more reliever away from being able to just like kind of settle and just like wait till the trade deadline, because this lineup's plenty good.
Yeah, you for sure want to get another starter in there, just because you can't bank on Painter by any means here, especially with some injury stuff he has there. I know Wheeler started throwing it again, I heard like a week ago, but Wheeler's kind of an unknown right now at this point. And let's say Wheeler's not ready by opening day. You're going to have Taijuan Walker as your four starter. That you don't want Taijuan Walker starting any game more than 10 games for you if you're the Phillies. I know you're paying him all that money. You do not want Taijuan Walker starting for you. And Aaron Nola too. Like, Aaron Nola was rough last year, I know. I mean, in 17 games, he had a 6 ERA. Like, how does Nola look? I would choose to think that he's not going to be a 6 ERA guy, be more of a 4.45 guy. But what if Nola's not the same Nola that he was before he signed that deal, and you have Taijuan Walker there? Then you have two rotation spots. You're basically just punting for $40 million total.
Yeah, when you look at it like that, it's a fair way to look at it. Let's keep going though. Like, we got to talk about your Mets a little bit here. So the Mets did it again. They took another Yankee this week. It's kind of funny how many Yankees are just like going, like guys who are done with the Yankees go to the Mets. They reached a 2-year deal with Luke Weaver. I'm pissed about this. Luke Weaver was really good for the Yankees. I think he kind of got the short end of the stick, losing his closing role. And I understand they went out and got David Bednar. I understand that, they also went out and got Devin Williams, and I'm trying to think who else. Like, while Luke Weaver was a Yankee, I'm trying to think of all the closers involved, but the Yankees had some high end names, and I say that specifically because they were high end names. Luke Weaver was never supposed to be the closer, and he earned that job. And I think he had a couple, obviously rough performances, but he was overall probably the most consistent guy. Now he's a New York Met. Hagen, what do we think about another Yankee joining your Mets?
It's a funny bit by David Stearns to just the amount of Yankees. The three last Yankees closers that have all lost their jobs around New York Mets. Clay Holmes lost his job. Luke Weaver takes his job. Luke Weaver loses his job with Devin Williams coming in there, and then Devin Williams loses his job, comes over to New York. So all three are in New York now, which I think is
I
hilarious.
forgot about Clay Holmes already, and he's one of them as well.
Yeah. But you can't ignore the fact that like the Yankees take Mets guys too. Like, just last year, you had guys like Paul Blackburn, Carlos Carrasco, Ahmed Rosario. The Yankees all took over. Like, it's a two-sided thing. I know a lot of people say just the Mets taking them. The Mets take more of the better players. The Yankees take more of those just
Carlos Carrasco is like he was a Met, but like, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, he was a Met.
Guys like Clay Holmes. I guess Devin Williams, you could say he really made his, made his name known with the Milwaukee Brewers, not the Yankees. But Clay Holmes and Luke Weaver, like Yankees guys, and like Ahmed Rosario, was he originally with the Mets or was he with like was he with
Yeah, he
Cleveland
was he
first?
was the main headliner. Him and Andres Jimenez were the main headliners in the Francisco Lindor trade.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. That makes sense. So,
He's
um,
been around. He was with Washington before he went to the Yankees last year.
gotcha. Um, yeah, but it is kind of funny that Dave Stern just like now it's just like he's. I feel like he's in the head of like the Yankees management team right now. It's like, do we let another one go, or is he going to be signing Queens?
It's just honestly hilarious because like never in my life did you see guys like go from the Yankees to the Mets. And then the last few offseasons, ever since David Stern's got here, it was almost like the Soto one was the first time. Then since then, it just all these guys are coming. I think it's hilarious. But on the Weaver deal, I love this for the Mets. I mean, you needed a guy to set up for Devin Williams, and you had AJ Minter, who's going to miss probably the first month of the season. But I don't want Devin Williams to have to like be the guy who has to close every single time. If he does struggle, you need someone else who has closer experience there. That's what Luke Weaver is. He can step into the closer role if needed, or if Devin Williams pitches the eighth inning, Weaver can go out there and pitch the ninth inning. Because I don't think AJ Mentor is that guy that you want to put in the ninth inning and put him in the closer role. Just hasn't really worked out in his career like that. I don't think Brooks Raley's that way either, but you needed another setup man to pass the ball off to Devin Williams. And you're going to have Minter and Weaver being their setup guys for you. And then you push Brooks Raley down to a middle inning relief guy. And Brooks Raley has been great for the Mets. I mean, last year in 25 innings, coming off of Tommy John, he got up with 2.45 ERA. I think there's still at least one more move to be made in this bullpen, and I think they're going to leave one spot open for a Sproat maybe to just kind of keep a young guy in there, be multiple innings guy. Maybe go sign another guy, trade for another guy, and then have just kind of that revolving door spot, which is the DFAs and all that stuff. But I really like the signing of Luke Weaver.
Dude, Brooks Raley, because like I remember like 3 years ago when he really came on the scene for Tampa Bay. And that year he had like a 2.68 ERA. He had 6 saves for Tampa Bay through 53 innings. He was really good. And then I just looked up his stat. Do you know that he was with the Cubs 2012 and 2013? 2014 through 2020 doesn't play baseball. Came back after 7 years. Did you know this about him?
I did not know.
I, I'm gonna try and look it up. I don't know what happened, but he took 7 years off, like out, like for whatever reason, and then oh maybe he went to he went to KBO. It looks like 7 years he was over there.
Honestly, I had no clue.
That's insane. Yeah, he was in with the Lottie Lotte Giants December 14, 2014. Signed a deal over there.
Yeah, I'm
Spent
looking at this now too. And it
5 years
looks
with
like
them.
success too wasn't even like that crazy either. I mean, he was a 4 ERA guy over there in the KBO.
That's an interesting, career. And then coming back, and now he's 37 years old and shoving still. That's wild. Baseball is one of a kind. That is a definite fact. Mets, they also signed Christian Pache, a former Atlanta Brave. He's a big, tooled up guy, athlete, super good defensively. What's keeping him around in Major League Baseball right now? It's a non roster invite to spring training. Hagen, odds this guy makes the outfield for the Mets.
Zero, unless there's big injuries.
uh,
This guy over under 3 plate appearances.
okay, I don't mean to laugh at him. I'm more laughing at your response. Just like no chance at all. He's making the Mets. Okay, I hope he does. Why not? If he works out.
I hope he really doesn't in that sense, just because that means the Mets will not be doing very good. But for his sake, I hope he does get another shot in the major leagues.
Fair enough. Washington and Boston strike up a deal. So the Nationals acquired right-hander Luis Perales. He's ranked by MLB Pipeline as Boston's number 7 prospect. This was at the time of the deal. In exchange for left-hander Jake Bennett, Washington's number 11 overall prospect. Following the trade, Perales slotted as number 5 for Nationals and Bennett as number 7 for Boston, which is they kind of both improved, which is pretty funny. Um, Chicago, the Cubs, they signed Caleb Thielbar to a 1-year deal. Thielbar, who's 38 years old, he was really good for Chicago in 2025. He posted a 2.64 ERA with 56 Ks and 13 walks over 58 innings. So, Chicago, that's one of the big things they need. They need pitching. They really need starting and bullpen. Um, but I could see them attacking the bullpen first, and then trying to land like a Framber if he doesn't sign something soon. Um, they also signed Tyler Austin to a 1 year deal. This happened yesterday. Deal's worth $1.25 million. So Austin, for those who don't know, he was a New York Yankee when he first came up to the bigs. He's been with the Yokohama Denai Bay Stars of the Nippon Professional League. So he had a 969 OPS, 20 home runs in 65 games in 2020 there. And then since then, he's been a 293 hitter. He's had 85 bombs. So we'll see how that works out, as I'm sure there's a depth signing for Chicago at this point.
I mean, that's what was surprising to me was that he got a major league deal. So like he's going to be on the major league roster, and I didn't know Tyler Austin was even in the pool of guys coming over. But because obviously you probably remember too, like he was a first baseman DH guy, I believe, when he first came up with the Yankees. And I was looking at the other day, he's a corner outfielder now. He doesn't play first base that much anymore. So corner outfield depth for the Cubs there, maybe a DH option. I don't really know, but taking a chance on the guy. I mean, obviously welcome him back to Major League Baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, let's keep moving. So some of the bigger news we didn't even get to this week yet, just because there's so much shit going on. Reds signed Caleb Ferguson to a 1 year, $4.5 million deal. Let's talk though about the San Diego Padres, because they make some headliner news this week with re-signing Michael King, 3 years, $75 million. Hagen, what are your thoughts on King back to San Diego? Is he now their number one pitcher?
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. I mean, he's got to be the number one in the rotation for him right now. That rotation was very slim, and they needed starting pitching in there. And their rotation just did not look very good without Michael King in there. They still need another spot in their rotation for somebody else, but adding King is a great thing. And I think it's a great deal for both sides here. The Padres get the pitching they need right now and get a frontline guy to be a competitive team right now, even with the financial issues they're going to go through. Michael King gets a $75 million deal, can opt out after any year he wants. So he can go prove to the market, hey, I'm healthy 100%, and then he'll get that $150, $200 million deal next offseason if he's healthy and opt out. If he is injured again, has a down year, well, you have $25 million next year, and you can do the same thing again next year, and you can do that. So I just love that aspect of it. And I know there's a lot of fans that were upset of why did my team sign Michael King at this price, $375 million. But you got to factor in that if you were the deal that they gave him, where you can opt out after every single year, forgot the qualifying offer, like the Mets, for example, they would have to give up their second and their fifth round picks to sign Michael King, lose millions of dollars in international free agency money, and they would also have what if he opts out for a year? Like it's just way too much to give a guy. You can't give a guy that deal knowing that he can opt out after a single year. It's just way too much to give up. So I can see why no other team matched that price there.
Yeah, no, well said, well explained. Good for San Diego, bad for all the other teams looking to get Michael King. They also San Diego. They take a low risk flyer on Guardians' former star Tristan McKenzie. This one interesting. He was horrible in 2025. He had 11.12 ERA in 5 and 2/3 innings. Um, do you think anything of this? Do you think McKenzie's gonna have a resurgence here, or do you think this is his last stop before he's done in the MLB?
I mean, I like taking a chance on guys like this, especially when they've had past major league success. I mean, Ruben Niebla is a great mind of the pitching staff there. I think if you can work with him, maybe try to get him back, because I know it seems like McKenzie, he seems like he's very relevant to Major League Baseball at this point, but it's only been a couple of years removed since he was like a good Major League starter. Like I think it's kind of very quickly everyone's kind of written him off, and I mean rightfully so. He's been a very bad pitcher last couple of years, but I love taking a chance on a guy like this. That there may be still something in there because the Padres too. Like if they got 10 starts out of him in a 4.5 ERA or a 4 ERA, they'll be happy with this signing.
I'll
Are you
say
more?
that his best year by far was 2022. Got 11 wins. He had a sub 3 ERA through 191 and a third innings with 190 strikeouts. We have not seen that form of Tristan McKenzie in the last 3 seasons. And 2023, 5.06 ERA. 2024, 5.11, 2025, 11.12. Be it that as it may, in the last 3 years, he has thrown less than 100 innings. So um, I'm not, I'm not too overly optimistic about this, but we shall see. We shall see if he could keep the injuries down to a minimum and, they use him in good starts. I think he could be effective, but we'll see. What was the next thing? Oh, sorry. The Padres also they signed a South Korean infielder Sun Moon Song. He's a 29-year-old lefty. He had 26 home runs and 26 steals last year, where he batted 315 for the Kwoom Heroes. So maybe a little pop added to the lineup. We'll see. A little speed as well. The Giants they had Adrian Hauser on a 2-year, $22 million deal. Second deal of this type in this episode. So do you think Adrian Hauser or Brad Keller went to their agent and be like, "Get me that deal"? Like that's essentially what happened for both them. No.
I mean, it's funny because I think they all, if you put Luke Weaver in this boat, they all signed the same exact deal, and I believe like within 2 hours of each other, which is pretty funny. But just on the Hauser deal, I'm not a big Adrian Hauser guy. He's just someone I've never really been a fan of, especially after his Mets tenure. But I get the Giants. Like I see why they did this because he's reliable for 100 innings at a 4 ERA around there, which is more than enough what this country's going to pay for. I mean, just like from a WAR aspect, all this guy has to do in these 2 years is put up 2 WAR, and the contract's pretty much paid off for. Just the way the team's looking at it from that sense, but it's just such a boring move. Like I would just much rather spend $22 million on somebody else. Adrian Hauser is just such a boring player in my opinion. Like nothing against him personally. I just don't like him as a player.
Fair enough. That's why we're on here to talk about our feelings with baseball. We don't ever wish anyone ill will. It just, some guys you like, some guys you don't. So shortly after Hauser signed with the Giants, they also signed former Tigers closer Jason Foley to a 1-year deal. So they are really trying to, I think, attack this bullpen. And then I think you're going to make a move for one, either Framber, Tat, is it Tatsui Imai, the number one Japanese pitcher that everyone's looking at?
Yeah, I thought it was a Mai, but then Boris was saying Ime, so I'm
Okay.
confused on what it is.
I might be butchering the name, but right now the number one pitcher that's posted for the MLB teams to sign. Go take a look at him. His last name Imai, however you want to pronounce it. But I think the Giants could make a play here for him. And we've talked about their lineup. They have pieces with Adames, Devers. They got one of, if not the best defensive catcher in baseball, Patrick Bailey, which you need to have that in order to win a championship. Um, we'll see. Giants are super interesting. They're boring too. Like their number one starters, like Logan Webb. And Logan Webb, what's he known for? Throwing a shit ton of innings. Like that. They're just like kind of a boring team. They're not flashy, but they get the job done. So, um, old job Cleveland, they signed Justin Brule from the Blue Jays for cash, or they acquired, I should say. They then released Big Christmas. So Jahansky Noel was designated for assignment. Saw that one coming. From what I remember last year, his batting average was atrocious. I think he struck out a lot, if I'm remembering that correctly. I didn't. I was like, yeah, I'm not even going into his stats to look at this. Like, I'm not wasting my time on that.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's got a big issue.
he's got a big whiff issue. Okay. The Guardians, they also agreed to a 1-year, $5.5 million deal with Sean Armstrong. So this is according to MLB's Mark Feinsand. He reported this on Thursday, and it has a mutual option for 2027. So the club didn't, confirm the deal yet, but Sean Armstrong, who knows? Is he the next? Obviously we know Cleveland's down 2 bullpen pieces from last season, so they got to bolster, they got to add, and obviously Cade Smith is their big guy, who we know is most likely going to be as a closer, but they got to get a bunch of other relievers here to come on in and become effective if they hope to They won the division last year, like people forget about that. They won the division, so we shall see. What do you think about this Minnesota deal?
I just think it's great for Minnesota. Honestly, Josh Bell on a 1 year, $7 million deal for a team. I don't know what the hell they're doing, like direction wise, because they switch up every few months. So I just don't really understand Minnesota as a team, but I like this Josh Bell signing. I mean, I was honestly looking at him too for the Mets, honestly, for when Alonso left on just a guy you could kind of fill in because he had a very underrated year last year, like Josh Bell. Like he's a switch hitter too, which is very nice. He's still a very, very solid player in Major League Baseball. I mean, he probably got a little unlucky last year, but go look at his Savant page and just like give it a look at all his numbers like that. Look at his page on Fangraphs, stuff like that. He was a very solid player. I think a lot of people just think Josh Bell and think of a guy who's not very good anymore and he's been washed for a few years. But like that's certainly the case. This is a great signing by Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota. We were just talking about boring teams. Like, I don't want to compare the Giants because they've just had so much more playoff success in the last, you know, quarter century than the Twins. But they're boring. The Twins. They have constantly a few guys at the top of the prospect list that could be real impact players, and we've seen over the last few years between Miranda was up there, obviously Buxton was up there. Um, you got Keishel now, Jenkins, Emmanuel Rodriguez, Gabriel Gonzalez. They got who am I thinking about? The third baseman that was injured all year last year for
Royce
Minnesota.
Lewis.
Yeah, Royce Lewis was up there. And it just seems they like constantly have a flow of like three or four of these guys that are injured or like suffering a setback that like they can't all get them on the field at the same time. And it's frustrating. So we'll see. I think Minnesota, I think with the way Detroit and Cleveland kind of been adding, and Cleveland, let's not forget, we're going to see Chase Louder, baseball, hopefully we see him fully healthy for a full year. The baseball fans of the world, everyone should want to see Chase Louder healthy for a year. Um, we'll see. I think Minnesota, though, they need to do a lot in order to compete in this division. Texas, they've reached a 1 year deal with Chris Martin. So he will be back to the Rangers bullpen. He had a 3.62 ERA, so he's good for fifth in the majors. Though they still were reported looking at other guys, but Chris Martin, what's Texas direction right now? What do you take from Texas making this deal?
I mean, I think this is them just adding to a bullpen that you needed to add to. You bring a guy back who was familiar with him last year, and I liked it for him, but I think if Texas really wants to compete, they have to make other moves because we know too. Like Houston's still a very good team. Seattle's almost was they were inning away and out away almost from going to the World Series last year. They're gonna be a very good team, probably the favorites of that division. So you got to do more if you want to win this division. And I think when you're looking right now, like the AL East right now, like just forecasting right now in the playoffs, it looks like the two wild card teams or the wild card teams are all gonna be American League East teams. I mean, between Boston, New York, Baltimore, and then Toronto, like those are all four playoff teams right now. So you got to win the division to get in if you're Texas, and I don't think they've done enough for that yet.
Yeah, I definitely don't. The Angels, the other team in that division, they had Drew Pomeranz and Jordan Romano on 1 year deals. So Pomeranz is going to get 4 million. Romano is going to get 2 million. I hate to say this because I'm just such an Angels doubter. Are the Angels doing enough right now where they could actually put together a playoff team? Like they've been active. They've been super active in this market.
That's the thing with the Angels is you can't hate on them because they're making moves. I mean, they filled a couple rotation spots with Grace Rodriguez and Alek Manoah. They filled some bullpen spots. I actually really like the Drew Pomeranz signing, but like Jordan Romano, that's kind of another funnier signing. But you can't hate on them for making moves. They're making moves that are cheap moves of maybe, hey guys, if we can get something in you here, we can flip you at the deadline if we're not a competitive team. But I mean, the Angels still like they could be in on like some big time guys too for agency wise, like a Bellinger. I know they're in on his market, maybe a Murakami. So they could still add to this team, but you can't hate them for making moves.
What is Anthony Rendon? He's under contract, right, for 2026.
I mean, they reached a buyout, whatever the word is on that, where I think he's just going to retire, and the Angels they're still working out the financials and how they're going to pay him because I want to defer some money, but it's looking like I don't think Rendon's going to be there next year.
That'd be wild. Like they technically $38.5 million next year. Let me say that again. $38.5 million for Anthony Rendon supposedly next year. Like Michael King, he's getting 25 million. How much more would you rather have Michael King on your team than Anthony Rendon right now?
It's I think it's crazy the fact that he's making that much money. I mean, like even if you want to look right now just on like AAV, there's only four players right now who have contracts with a higher AAV than Anthony Rendon, and that's Aaron Judge at $40 million, Vladimir Guerrero at $40.2 million, Zach Wheeler at $42 million, and Juan Soto at $61.8 million. Those are four players that make more money than Anthony Rendon on an average basis. It's wild.
That that's a bad contract. That's so bad.
It's up there for
Uh,
the worst contract in baseball history, maybe sports history.
dude, like $38.5 million. Like I like I feel like money goes out the door nowadays where people are just like, oh, like this athlete signed for 600 million. That's normal. Like $38.5 million buys you like the state of Iowa. Not actually, but you know what I mean. Like that's so much money. If you $38.5 million is like anyone who's responsible, that's like generational family money for like decades of people. And one person's making this over 1 year, and he's like, "Nah, I'm just not gonna play." God, such a bad contract. Um, last few takes, the Angels they settled with the family of Tyler Skaggs finally. Um, we had for Team USA baseball, Tarek Skubal, Mason Miller, Logan Webb, and David Bednar. They're all joining the USA pitching staff. This USA team is going to be disgusting. They if they don't win, it is utterly like I don't want to say embarrassment because there's other good teams, but it's damn near Hagen. It's getting to the point where it's like this team is just you got Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge, Bobby Wood Jr. They're all playing for Team USA. Like, what team is going to have a better talent? Like, I understand Otani's playing for Japan, but like, this is the best Americans like all playing.
I mean, the issue for USA Baseball has always been the starting pitching. You know they're always going to have a good lineup every year, year in and year out when they do this thing. It's always been the starting pitching. I mean, the last time we had this event, the starting rotation was Adam Wainwright at 40 years old, Lance Lynn a year or two before he retired, Kyle Freeland. Now we have the two best pitchers in baseball, Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens at the head of the rotation. Nolan McLean's probably your four right now, who's viewed as a top 20 pitcher wherever you want to put him in baseball, who's the Mets ace right now. He's your four. You got Logan Webb, who's the top 10, 15 pitcher in baseball right now. You get Bednar, too. You get Mason Miller in the back end of the pen. You get Garrett Clevenger, Griffin Jackson, the bullpen. It's incredible what they have right now. I have not been this excited for a World Baseball Classic in my life, especially to watch Scooball and Skeens.
Let me let some of the people listening, if we have anyone tuning in at this point, from 2023. So this is 2 years ago. Who were some of the starters on Team USA? Merrill Kelly, Miles Mikolos, Nick Martinez, Brady Singer. That was our starting rotation. And now we're throwing the, Sherman tanks on the mound now with Tarek, Skubal, Mason Miller. Like, I'm gonna be really surprised if USA does not clean house with this roster. They're so good.
Yeah, this team it's insanely loaded. Obviously, I think there's still some more spots to fill. I think the offense needs to improve a little bit more just because go look at the Dominican Republic's offense. That might be the best line I think I've ever seen assembled in my life. But USA's might have the best pitching staff I've ever seen assembled in my life.
I don't have the. I gotta look up. Right now, Team USA's got what? Schwarber, Bryce Trang, Corbin Carroll, Bobby Witt, Ski,
Yeah, you're
Eric.
still going to need an outfield spot. You're still going to need maybe a first base. You still have a first baseman.
Is Kyle Tucker waiting to like get this contract done, then decide if he's playing? He should be playing for Team USA. Why is he not?
I do hope they get Tucker in there. I do kind of hope they get Trout back in there too. I know he probably won't, but
Captain America.
I'm back
Um,
in there.
so fun fact, two last things before I'm all done talked out of baseball for at least today. Every team has signed at least one player to an MLB contract except for two, the Rockies and the Red Sox. So right now, the Red Sox, their priority is getting back Bregman. It sounds like. Do you find this odd that the Rockies haven't signed anyone yet, or do you think this is all like starting from the ground up? We are like reforming, like trading all of our assets, gonna get all prospects and young players, and then build.
I mean, I thought they would at least sign a few guys, but I guess with Paul DePodesta coming in there now, he's got to really, especially jumping over from sports, so he's got to learn his whole system, do all this. So it seems like his more thing is maybe just learn about my own team first and worry about trading guys, and I can. I mean, let's be honest, the Rockies aren't going to sign anybody huge. Like they can sign these minor league guys when they want them, whenever, and they're just going to sign all the leftover guys when it's close to when free agency is almost over there. So I think it's a big deal for the Rockies. The Red Sox obviously are kind of the headliner in this, but they've obviously been making trades, improving their team, but they do got to go out there and sign a bat.
Yeah. And finally, this one just more for fun to point fun at the Dodgers. So the Dodgers right now owe more than 1 billion with a B in deferred payments after the Edwin Diaz contract. So this is according to ESPN. The Dodgers are now on the hook for 1.064 billion dollars through 2047. So I most likely will not be here by the time 2047 rolls around. If not, I'll be. If I am, like, thank God. But um, Edwin Diaz, Otani, Betts, Snell, Freeman, Will Smith, Tommy Edman, Tanner Scott, and Teoscar Hernandez are all on deferred payment schedules. Hagen, any reaction to that fact?
I mean, it's been known. It was even $1 billion even before the Diaz deferrals, which is already crazy enough. Obviously, when you defer $680 million of one player's contract, that makes a lot of it come up there. But it is just kind of crazy. Obviously, I think when people say, well, you got to ban deferrals in baseball, I show them that and I say, how do you ban that when it's already put in place? Like, you're just going to tell the Dodgers you have to pay the $1 billion now? Like, you just can't do that. So my reaction is it's going to be very tricky figuring out how they're going to grandfather these deferrals in the next CBA.
Yeah, it's incredible that like MLB has allowed them to get away with this kind of like I get it, and that's a whole different topic that we can linger on for with deferments. I'm not going to do that now, but it's just $1.064 billion that they're going to owe to a mix of one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine guys. Nine guys they're going to owe $1 billion to. And I understand that a couple of them are the majority of this money, but still, that's so much money. All right, that's it for me. You got anything else for us this episode?
I was going to say, if we don't have another episode before we record, but I'm going to talk about Murakami's deadline to sign is 5 p.m. Eastern on Monday. So he could be signed by the time we go live next time that we're on here. There's been no word on his market whatsoever. I'm just going to take it out there. I'm going to take my guess. I'm going to say he's going to be a Los Angeles Angel. I don't know why. I just said they're a team that would be in on him and spend a lot of money on a guy who's a big question mark. But deadline on Monday. We'll see where it ends up with him.
Jeez. All right. Well, that's it from me. Thank you for listening. Go subscribe, like the podcast. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everyone. We probably won't be back unless there's something big and Hagen and I are like bored and want to hop on maybe on the 23rd or 24th. But outside of that, we will talk to you guys.